Hey, everybody. We are very excited to have Brandon Winfield on. And he is a paraplegic who has invented an app and it's called iAccess. And he is here to talk about that and much more. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Doing good, Tiffany. How are you?
Very good. This is like National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So, or not congratulations, I guess happy NDAM.
Yeah.
Happy NDAM. It's kind of a weird month. As a paralyzed person for 30 years, I feel like they've kind of ramped up the employment stuff, don't you think?
Yeah, there's definitely I was injured in 2008, so coming into this now, there's definitely been a lot more energy and kind of movement behind all this stuff. I've noticed a lot of people that, working in this field that have reached out, and it's like there's so many different people to keep up with who are helping with staffing and their stuff for movies and being like on TV shows with C Talent, some
Yeah.
other people as well. So it's really cool
Yeah.
to see the tailwind behind it.
It's great. And there's so many opportunities working from home for people too. And that's kind of what we're talking about too this month. But you're our first person we're going to highlight. And I know you have a cool story and people out there may already know about it. But if you don't mind, just kind of sharing briefly your injury story and then we can kind of move on and see what you did after that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So grew up racing motocross. It was a big passion of mine, something that was definitely more than a hobby. I was homeschooled for it. I was working with a rider coach and kind of training, and
Cool.
the plan was to go professional as early as I could.
Yeah.
So at 14 years old, I was getting ready for a national event, and I ended up crashing at this race. The bike ended up chasing me down, and it hit me in the back. Broke my back at the T78, so I'm a complete
Hmm.
injury.
Hmm.
Like I said, since 2008. Actually, this was
Yeah.
my
Mhm.
14th year being in a wheelchair. And so I spent 14
Oh,
years not in a wheelchair, 14 years in. So
wow,
pretty
that's
crazy to think it's been half my life
crazy.
now. But yeah.
Yeah, I was injured at 14 too, by the
Oh,
way.
wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm 43, so I'm older than you. But yeah, it's crazy how fast time goes after your injury. It really, I mean, that's the way life is, I guess, anyways. But I think being injured at 14 is kind of a hard age. I mean, any age is hard, but you're about to start high school and becoming a, like find yourself as a young adult, and you're like, who am I now? I'm a paralyzed person. This is not what I planned on, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I had like a lot of my identity wrapped up in racing dirt bikes. It's like that's
Right.
how I express myself. Playing sports is how I express myself. Luckily, I'd been, well, I don't know about luckily, but I've been hurt racing dirt bikes before.
Okay.
I knew it was a risky thing to do. I knew things could happen. So I was able to kind of like take that mindset and adjust and get back to living a normal life pretty quickly and just being myself. I was thankful that I still had my personality
Right.
and the
Yeah.
ability to use my arms and kind of have
Yep.
this freedom.
Yep. Yep.
So I just kind of took that and hopped back into it. But you're right. It's hard at 14. You're in high school, getting ready to go into 10th grade. A lot of my friends are starting to get their driver's license and go places and go to house parties and do things. And it wasn't in my sight at the time when I was racing, but like now that I didn't have anything else to do, it's like that's what I wanted to do. But it seemed like a lot of people I kind of just left a little bit and moved on with their lives and kept having fun. And so it was weird because it didn't really fit in at the time.
Yeah, 14-year-old peers don't really understand wheelchair life
They
very well,
don't.
do they?
I think it's hard for them to grasp that. Yeah.
There. So I know you went back into racing though. You didn't stop racing, right?
Oh, no, I did not. So
Hmm.
when I got out of the hospital, my parents know me very well, knew that I had to fulfill my adrenaline rush some way, somehow.
Hmm.
And I started riding jet skis for a little bit. And
Cool.
then I just
Mhm.
remember when we grew up in California, my dad rode street bikes. So we were always out at this track called,
Fun. Mhm.
oh my God, I can't believe I forget, Willow
Mhm.
Springs. We
Willow
used to go to Willow
Springs.
Springs all the
Mhm.
time in the middle of the desert in California. But they
Okay.
had like a little kart track out there. So I remember watching the races and seeing them go around. And I just thought it was so cool. And it felt like something that I could compete in and compete with everybody else and be on a
Yeah.
similar playing field. And it was that. So we got back into racing those like
Cool.
125cc go-karts. They do close to 100 miles an hour. They're a lot of fun to drive.
Wow. How long did you do that for then? Are you still doing any racing right now, or are you kind of out of it?
So I did it for a couple years with my dad. And then as I
Mhm.
got older, he was like, okay, you're a grown man now. You can pay for
Like,
your racing. I paid for the
ah!
motocross racing for like years and years. you got to do this now. And it just
Okay.
got to the point where it costs so much money. It costs a lot of money to race competitively.
Really? I kind
Yeah.
of figured it did. People that aren't in the world don't understand, but I know any kind of racing costs money, right? Cars,
Yeah.
motorbikes. Yeah.
It's just like you're using equipment that is meant to go very fast and not last a long time. It's not built for endurance essentially. So it adds up quickly. You get in
Mm,
accidents, you bend things, you break stuff in the cart.
mm.
Um, Tires are not cheap. So did that for a while. So ended up selling it, but now I
Oh,
work with
okay.
a team that they do 24-hour races, 24-hour
Oh,
endurance races. It's
what?
me and a couple of other guys in wheelchairs as well, and then like
Oh,
another person, but we'll go out there and do those races. And that's pretty
24-hour endurance races?
yeah.
Okay, you mean you're out there for 24 hours? Is that what you're telling me?
No, we have so you have drivers and you do stints. So you'll do
Oh,
like you'll be in the cart for an hour and a half or two, and then you'll get
okay.
out and you'll switch and like you have to come in and do a pit stop, fill up with gas,
Okay.
do oil
Mhm.
changes I think at least once or twice. And yeah, it's like this thing you come in, you switch with another driver, they go out for about 2 hours. But
Fun.
so you
Mhm.
start at noon and then you end at noon the next day. So right around like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and you've been doing that for 10 hours, you're like, man, 14 more hours to go.
You
It's-
guys sound fun. Who are the other wheelchair users that are involved in
um,
this? Mhm.
so my friend Brian, oh my gosh, I want to say it's Brian Hall is his last name. I can't believe
Okay.
I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. And then Michael Day.
Okay, you guys are having a blast. Are you in California still, or where you guys live?
Oh, Brian Hart. Oh my gosh.
Sorry,
I'm
Brian
sorry.
Hart.
I have to get it right. Brian Hart. I can't believe I was
He'll
blanking on his
forgive
name.
you.
No, I'm living in Georgia right now.
You're
We're
in
all based out
Georgia.
of Georgia, so
Okay.
close to the city.
Oh, okay. So after high school and graduation, how did you get involved in, technology and IT? Because that's quite different than doing motorsports. So how did that come about?
Well, it actually came. So I graduated high school. 'Cause I got
Hmm.
hurt in like sophomore year. Graduated high school. Went to
Yeah.
college for a year.
Okay.
Was racing go-karts and was going to be a part of the show. At the time, I just went to community college. I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had no direction and like
Okay.
had no real clue who I was still. And went to college for just the first year. Racing go-karts was going to do this show and just didn't start my second semester of school. So my dad came home one day. He was working in the IT field and I was just sitting at home having fun. And he was like, you need to go back to school or get a job, but you're not just going to sit in the house and not do anything.
I like
And
your
so,
dad. Your dad's kind of a
yeah,
hard ass. I like parents like that.
military,
Yeah. Hmm.
military guy.
He's good. That's good.
So
Hmm.
he ended up going to work one day. He worked in the fintech field in IT
Oh,
and
cool.
just talked to
Hmm.
some people, said, hey, if you were 19 years old and you're a relatively smart kid, like what would you kind of do? Like what would be your path?
Yeah.
And they said, oh,
Hmm.
bring them in. There's a lot of money to be made in tech. Like tech is the next thing in the future.
Hmm.
And we'll get them in
Hmm.
here. We'll teach them how to do some quality assurance testing. So started there.
What? What? So
Yeah.
you were you didn't even go to like school, they just taught you.
Yeah.
You're
They
lucky
just
'cause-
brought me in and taught me. I got very lucky. Yeah. But I
wow.
picked it up very
Mhm.
quickly. And I figured what I would do next is learn how to code. And they were
Okay.
kind of setting up that path for me. The guy that was teaching me everything was very smart, Mikey. So
Wow.
shout out to Mikey
Wow.
Nelson. And I just ended up being something I couldn't really get into. It was really tough for me to dedicate myself to that and be excited to learn it. So
So that's crazy. So you taught yourself and with someone's help how to program basically.
not program, but test
Test
like
the
languages.
QA.
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
test it. I could see how it worked. I could read it better than I could write it. But yeah, just mostly testing. When it came to actually programming and doing that stuff, I was like, oof,
Okay.
this is not for me. I don't know if I had the dedication for this.
Okay, so wow. So you got kind of doing this QA stuff. So that was your first tech jobs, right? You're doing this, you're just kind of helping out other people with their tech stuff, right?
Yes.
So, and that's a nice job. Were you full time working any place or was it all like freelance work? What kind of jobs were you doing?
No, it was full time. I worked full time at a fintech company, and then I
Okay.
moved to a company called CSRA, and
Okay.
they would be contracted out to like the CDC. So I did some testing for them for about a
Cool.
year.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was
Okay.
that was contract work. And then slowly after that, once I realized that really wasn't the path I wanted to go down, I was
Okay.
kind of working on iAccessLife at the time, getting started
Yeah.
in that. And then I started doing a digital marketing job that my actual
Oh,
co-founder got me. He got me into
what?
this. So yeah.
That's crazy. I love to hear people's employment journeys, especially when they're paralyzed. Because sometimes when people are newly paralyzed, they think it's not going to happen for them, but you just got to let life happen and things happen. And I think that's so cool that, okay, so you did QA stuff for a few years, I saw. And then I know the backstory on your app, but why don't you share everybody like how you came up with the idea of creating this app? Because you were injured the year smartphones were invented, by the way,
Pretty
2008.
much, yeah.
So, so I'm thinking, wow, he was
Yeah.
kind of meant to make an app in a way. Like this is destined for him. So tell us about the app and what was the thought about process behind it.
Well, as you said, smartphones were starting to come out around this time. So
Hmm.
it was interesting to see mobile apps. I remember I didn't have an iPhone right when everybody else had one. I still had a Sidekick.
Okay.
It's still one of my
Throwback.
favorite phones to this day, one of the coolest
Yeah.
phones. But
Mhm.
I remember people were getting Instagram and I couldn't get Instagram and I really wanted to have that. And I started to learn really what apps were. That's what like really publicized apps and made them look cool and fun and like things that were entertaining that you played on your phone essentially instead of just
Mhm.
using your phone to call people or text people or
Right.
send emails.
Mhm. Or surf
So
the web, right?
yeah, exactly. So that was a cool thing that was pretty exciting. And as I started to get older and travel and go different places with friends, I quickly realized that places were not made equally when it came to accessibility.
Yeah.
And I just wondered why we didn't have any information about it. If we had to call somebody, email, like why couldn't we just have this information at our fingertips and know before we go?
Right,
I've had
right.
a lot of issues myself, and I was very versatile and able to kind of get around and do wheelies and hop up and down curbs or kind of do stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I figured there was other people out there that were like me or were more insecure about going out and didn't have that capability that would like to know some information before they went there and felt, like everybody was looking at them essentially, which is how I felt.
Yeah.
So I went to church with my mom one day and it was a New Year's Eve service. They were talking about instead of focusing on a resolution that you're probably going to give up on in the first month, how can you help your community? And it really
I
didn't
love
hit
it.
me till I got to my car. I went to go reach for my door handle and I really had one of those cartoon moment light bulb things of like,
What?
that thing that you're upset about and complaining about, just make an app for it. Like do an app. Like everybody's making apps these days. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
being so naive and
Mhm.
it being so early on in that stage, I just thought it was super easy to get an app made and you just put it in the app store, then people download it. And yeah, everybody knows about it and they're just going to tell their friends. And it's like, there's so much more to the whole process. But that's where everything came from. It was just never
Cool.
being one to complain and wanting to help other people out and do it in a fun way.
I think it's awesome to, okay, so you have this idea for an app, which is a good name, iAccessLife. I think I love the name of it. And you didn't actually develop the app. So how do you find people to collaborate with to create an app? Because I think that's interesting for really is.
Well, having no real background in this, other than just kind of working with some people that knew IT stuff,
Hmm.
I really just started Googling. I got
Okay.
on, I looked up app
Yeah.
developers in Atlanta. I was
Oh,
like, hey, okay, I want to build an app. Who develops apps here in Atlanta? It'd be
oh,
cool to work
no
with somebody in
way.
Atlanta. And started to
Wow.
reach out to people and kind of told them I had this idea. And they said, okay, do you have any wireframes? And I said, what's a wireframe? Googled that, and pretty much what that is just like drawings of what the screens are going to look like and how the app is going to flow. So I
Okay.
do that. I start to build things and kind of put it all together. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I made a lot of mistakes. So it wasn't like I just was like, okay, this is that box check, and then next box
Yep.
check. It was a
Yep.
lot of stumbling and figuring it out and reaching out to venture capital groups when all I had was a prototype essentially. And like those are people that write checks for $2 million, $5 million,
Wow.
and I'm reaching out to them with no product and no revenue essentially. So I reached out to all the wrong people, and just kept making it happen. Eventually, one of the people that I kept in contact with and was telling them about the project, they introduced me to a company called QE and their app development team. And
Okay.
we ended up sitting down and I told them the story of what I wanted to do and they got excited and we
Yeah.
ended up working together. So they all
Wow.
the development.
Mhm.
I went to go raise money and was of course, long story short, was able to get the check eventually, but it took a
Wow.
while.
Mhm.
And once the first check comes in, it helps to get the others down the road.
I can't. So you started the process in 2015, and then when did the app officially launch? It's like 19, right? 2019.
2019. Yeah.
Okay, that's so it took 4 years, 4 years
Yeah,
to get that thing ready to go for the public. And when you finally launched it, I bet that was an amazing feeling.
it was because we had gone through other iterations of working with some people and it not working out at all and just
Ugh,
completely falling apart and having to start again and kind
okay.
of feeling down and defeated and like it wasn't going to work. But having my co-founder and just surrounding myself with the right people, the good support system, people that were smarter than I was, and then kind of letting go of my ego of I need to do this myself, and
Right.
letting other people come in and kind of help me and pick up where I wasn't very strong in.
Yeah.
We were able to like make that happen, and it's weird because I couldn't wait to get the app into the app store. And
Yeah.
then once I did that, it's like, okay, what's the next thing? Like it's a very short-lived celebration. But yeah, it was awesome to see it get done. It looked great. The team that we worked with did a great job on it, and we got it out there in 2019 and started getting some traction and doing some
Yeah.
contests to incentivize people, and
Yeah.
it's really picked up. It's cool to see where it is now.
I like it. Now, the idea is like it's reviews, accessibility reviews of all around the world, right? I think you have like 45 countries. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
so I wish it
Mhm.
was 45, like closer to 35.
35.
35, 30, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
45 now. Maybe yeah, 45, but not yet.
I am impressed though. Still 35, that's still a lot. And people, so that you download the app and then when you're out and about, you can review wherever you're at, right? That's the kind of idea. You can review as you live your life so other people can know what the accessibility is, right? When they come along after you. It's really cool. So is there any, I mean, when you came up with your app idea, was there any other accessibility apps doing the same thing, or did you try to make yours better than other ones, or were you the first out there?
Yeah, so we had to do market research, of course. Whenever you work with
Mm,
the dev team, they start to look around and see what's already out there,
mm.
and make sure you're not stealing somebody's idea,
Right?
essentially, if you're going
Oh,
to do the same thing.
mhm.
So we found some other ones that had been out before.
Yeah.
They were very I don't want to say like very outdated, but it seemed like they got made by somebody that knew how to develop apps and they kind of did the bare minimum to get an
Right.
app out there that was a rate and review thing.
Mhm.
Nobody had really built a brand around it. Nobody had
Yeah.
really built a business around it and made
Yeah.
any partnerships with anybody to
Yeah.
do more offerings other than just telling people to rate and review. So
Right. I
that's
love
the
it.
tough thing
Mhm.
is coming to an app and there not being any accessibility information, and that's what people are looking for. So we had to incentivize people. We built ours a little bit different. We saw what others had done.
Okay.
They weren't really around or doing any updates or doing anything new. So we kind of saw what they did. We took a lot of and insight, like encouragement from
Mhm.
Yelp, essentially,
Yeah, I was about
and
to
kind of
say
copy
that
what
because
they
you can
did.
get some reviews on accessibility over on Yelp if you look, but they're not like a whole accessibility area, right? You kind of have to dig, I think, for anything
Yeah,
accessibility. Yeah.
yeah, you'd have to dig, and it's very surface level. We're able to kind of get a little bit more granular with our reviews and our ratings.
I
We do
love it.
5 star on the parking, the entrance, the bathroom, and interior space. And then
Cool.
we ask people to leave reviews and kind of give more detail on why they felt a certain way about it.
Wow, very good. I know. So, okay, so now all the work you did with all of your app is all, are you home based and then you kind of work from your house? And 'cause I think a lot of people are curious about that. And if you need any like work accommodations, you're a paraplegic, so you probably don't need much in the way of that. But can you just share a little bit about that? Mhm.
Yeah, so mostly home based.
Okay.
Worked out of a WeWork for a little bit as well, so got to have like an office because it's nice to get out of the house. You have to
It's
have someplace to
healthy.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's healthy,
yeah.
and then you can communicate with people and be with people that are doing, startup journeys and doing kind of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship things. It gives
Cool.
you this like refreshment and like rejuvenation being around people like that to keep going. So
Mhm.
did that and then started to work at a building called Atlanta Tech Village here in
Oh,
Atlanta. It's
okay.
the fourth largest tech hub in America. Pretty much it's a
Cool.
110,000 square foot building. They have over
Nice.
300 startups in there, all working on tech products.
Oh,
And so I started
cool.
working there, helping to mentor
Uh,
startups that came through their startup program. So that's where I
oh,
go now. I'm usually there Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
okay.
I'll be at
Mhm.
home Tuesday and Thursday. And
Cool. Mhm.
yeah, being a paraplegic, you don't need too much, but having
I
this
know.
bit of freedom where I don't have to wake up and be at an office at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock
That's
anymore,
huge. Yeah.
it's huge.
Mhm.
It allows me to like, I lay down a lot longer, so I don't have to be in my wheelchair for
Oh,
14 to 16 hours all day. It's nice to be able to like lay in
yes.
bed and kind of like take emails there for a little bit
Yep.
and be horizontal and have that weight off my back.
So would you ever go back to working full time for someone, or do you prefer the lifestyle you have right now where you're kind of doing what
Oh,
you
I mean, I'll do whatever I have to do. I'll never knock anybody's job or whatever they're doing to make ends meet. So if I
Yeah.
have to go back and work a 9 to 5, I'll
Mm-hmm.
absolutely do that. I'm not gonna just, not do it anymore. But
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
this lifestyle is way much better. So I'll do whatever I
Mhm.
have to do to keep this going, essentially.
I think it's
Been
great.
able to,
Yeah.
yeah, been able to do it for about 3 years now, coming up on close to 4 years.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's the world we live in now. And I think many people are kind of living that way. They don't have just one full-time job. They're doing just a variety of things and they make their employment work. So I think that's a good lesson to learn, especially if you have a disability. You don't have to do the 9 to 5 grind. It's not always easy for people. Like you said, to be in your chair all day long. So
And
yeah,
that's the
that's
cool thing about, the internet and smartphones and what we're doing now is there's so many
mm,
different channels to make your own path essentially to kind of create your own thing and use your personality or who you are, your experiences to kind of showcase and reach a group of people that probably want to hear your story. So
mhm,
um, it
mhm.
really just kind of boils down to consistency and finding something that you want to do and then sticking to it and
Yep.
showing up. A lot of people want the overnight success, and when they don't get it,
Mhm.
it makes it hard for them to keep going. But you just have to you got to keep pushing it and pushing it, and one day you'll reach a certain crowd. Who knows? Like I could reach somebody here from Spinalpedia that's
Yep.
like, oh, I want to tell everybody about iAccessLife, or I want to get some money or invest in iAccessLife, whatever it
Yeah,
might be,
we're
or
gonna get the
partner with
word
you.
out. Yes.
So you never know. So just
Yeah.
keep doing your thing. The more you're
Okay.
there, the more people see your face, the more opportunities that will come. So keep
I
going.
love it. You've really, and I think it helped a lot of people today just by sharing your story. So I want to say thank you, and I wish you plenty of success in your future employment endeavors. If you come up with a new app, let us know. We'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going
Mhm.
to be releasing an updated version of the app soon. So if you
Okay.
haven't yet, check us
Mhm.
out, iAccessLife on all
Okay.
social media essentially. And then you can download us today in the iOS store, the Google
Yep.
Play Store. We have a partnership with Passport Parking coming out soon that we'll be
Oh,
rolling out to about 70 cities in the next 90 days.
what's that?
That'll allow you to pay for parking and kind of take care of your handicap spot parking in the app. So
Whoa.
yeah,
Wow.
you can pick a place that you want to go to, and if there's the option to pay for parking or park there, you can take care of it right from your phone and not have to get out your car and do it at a station essentially. So
That's amazing.
that'll be
Wow.
that'll be out in November. So keep
Okay.
an eye out for that and
Can
download
you,
us and follow us
what's
there.
the name again? Passport parking, sorry.
Yep, Passport Parking.
Okay, very good. All right. Thank you, Brandon.
No
I was
problem. Thank
talking.
you for having
Yeah,
me. I
yeah, we'll
appreciate it.
talk to you again. I really appreciate it. I'll have a really good day. Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. You
All
too.
right.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.